If the Panthers finish outside of the top 5 in picks this year, you could tell me to do anything. I will do.
You heard that? That's on camera. If the Panthers finish outside the top 5 in the draft this year, comment down what you want to see JJ do, and he will do it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the PM Football Podcast. On this episode, we're going to tell you why the Bills and the Commanders
are going to the Super Bowl.
I mean, I wasn't going to say all that, but
why not?
I think we have a little bit of a better shot than you guys, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Whatever.
We're going to move right into college football. The first game we got this week was Michigan and USC. It was going to be an interesting game going into that game. We knew USC was going to have a test against an actual Big Ten defense.
Yeah.
Michigan ended up pulling out a 27-24 win, scoring a touchdown on their last drive of the game, take the lead, and they held USC to 24 points, which was a big question in that game.
Yeah, you brought it up last week. It was the first time we were going to see, like in a regular season match, Pac-12 offense going against a Big Ten defense, and two great teams, USC and Michigan. It kind of caught me by surprise a little bit. I was pretty confident that USC was going to get the job done, but credit to Michigan, credit to Orji with his first start. Like, they definitely deserve this win.
I mean, we were both a little down on Michigan. Not gonna lie.
When you look at the roster compared to last year's national championship team, you can't help but think like they're not the same.
Well,
team.
I mean, specifically going into this game, based off of the first 3 weeks, they just did not look like the same Michigan team.
That too. Yeah.
So we thought a high-powered offense would be able to come into Michigan and beat them.
Yeah.
But Michigan decided, all right, we're playing Big Ten football today. You're gonna have to adapt to it. Welcome to the Big Ten, USC.
Yeah, and this brings up a few question marks for USC as well, because they have more Big Ten matchups coming up. It's going to be a weekly basis now. Like, does this kind of raise the eyebrow? Like, all right, we got to get used to this kind of defense, this kind of competition if you're USC.
Yeah, no, they definitely are going to have to get ready for it, and they're going to have to get ready for it, like, now, because it's not going to stop. It's going to continue to be those types of defenses they're playing against for the rest of the season.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, again, it was just that was a good game. Like, it was a very good game.
It was, and I think USC still has a chance to make the playoffs. Like, it's a 12-team playoff. You can afford 1 or 2 losses. So I wouldn't panic just yet if I'm USC, but I think Michigan did send out a statement.
Yeah, I think
to everyone else, like, hey, don't forget.
And again,
about
if you're a Michigan, if you're a Michigan fan, you guys are still in this.
Absolutely,
you guys still
that's
have
a huge win for Michigan.
100%.
Yeah.
And next, we're moving on to Utah and Oklahoma State. We last week picked Utah to be our Big 12 team to make the playoff, and right now it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely works out that the 2 other teams we had competing with them were Oklahoma State lost to Utah. Kansas State ended up losing as well. So right
to
now,
a BYU team.
Exactly. So right now, our prediction for Utah to win the Big 12 is not certain, but it's looking pretty nice right now, and credit Utah on that win.
Yeah, again, like we mentioned last week, Utah's just a very veteran team. And you go into a Big 12 where they aren't used to a defense like you. Utah's always going to have that good defense, and they showed it against a very good offensive team in Oklahoma State, holding them to only 19 points. And that game wasn't even as close as what it ended up being. No. The final score is 22-19, but at one point in that game, it was 16-3, and they were running away with it. And then Oklahoma State scored a couple touchdowns to make it closer than what it really was.
Yeah.
But again, Utah just looked very dominant, and I think it's going to be hard for them to not win the Big 12, continuing to play like that.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, they look like the team to beat in the Big 12.
100%. And then moving on to the last game we have this week, which was the biggest game of the week. It was Tennessee and Oklahoma. The Volunteers were heading down to Oklahoma, and they got whooped. That's about as plain and simple as I'm going to say. They got whooped. Even that game wasn't as close as the final score.
Look, Tennessee looked very impressive. Could they possibly compete to be in the SEC championship?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so tough to say.
It is.
Who's going to make it there? Because, like you said, you can throw Tennessee in there now. You always have Georgia, Bama. And now you have Texas thrown in there.
Yep.
They look like the best team in the country still.
Yeah.
They played ULM this week, but they look still very dominant with their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And again, now you throw Tennessee in there. You can even throw Ole Miss in there.
Yeah.
All of those teams are still vying for a chance to be in the SEC championship. And all 5 of those teams, I think, have very realistic chances of making the SEC championship.
I agree with you. I'm really excited to see how Tennessee kind of progresses throughout the season, to see where they go from here, because this is a great statement win for them.
Yeah, and I mean, again, they have a young quarterback in there. They know they're going to have this guy for 2 more years.
Yeah, and you got to be excited to be a Tennessee
Very
fan
excited
to have that guy under center. Like, I'd be pretty excited for.
Very excited. And for Oklahoma, you switch quarterbacks after halftime. You throw in a true freshman, not even a redshirt freshman, true freshman into the game.
Yeah,
and you're like, all right, you're going to play Tennessee right now, and I'm sure he wasn't expecting that.
Probably not.
I don't think that was in the game plan.
No,
but with the way that game went, it was like, all right, we got to switch something up.
Yeah,
Nothing's working.
when it's like that, where you're kind of seems like you're stuck in like quicksand or something. Like you can't really move. Like nothing's really progressing. You have to make drastic changes, and Brent Venables did. And I mean, obviously it didn't work out this week, but let's see how the rest of the season turns out.
And again, I think they looked even better in the second half with that other kid.
You could definitely
I'm blanking on his name right now, but they looked more explosive because that kid is a runner. He's fast. He went in there at first play of the game. He gained like 12 yards on a rush. Tennessee wasn't ready for that against Jackson Arnold. You bring in a kid like that, and again, like you said, you make a drastic change at a quarterback position, which is the most important position, and it paid out okay for you. You still lose the game, but in that second half, you look good, and they have said this week that guy's going to be the starter again this week. So we're going to have to see how he does this week and see if Oklahoma can pick things back up a little bit.
For sure, man.
Yeah. And I mean, I know you want to shout out somebody.
Yeah, I was at the Navy-Memphis game this weekend. Great atmosphere, great win for Navy. I don't care what anyone says, they can compete for the AAC.
I don't think I'd go that far.
Why not? Why not them? They play UAB this weekend. Should win. Go 4-0. Should win. Yeah, look. Heisman Horvath. Quarterback Blake Horvath. Heisman Horvath. Very explosive. Great passer. Great runner. The offense this year is not the offense from last year. Defense is always going to be good, even though Memphis did end up putting up points, but Memphis always has a solid offense. I don't see why Navy shouldn't put in a bid for the AAC. I think they do.
I mean, I'm not as hip to you are as the AAC comes because you spent a year in it. Yeah. What are the other teams in that conference that even have a chance of getting to that game?
It's kind of sticky. I don't think Tulane is as strong as they were last year, but you always gotta respect them, look at them. Yeah. Army's also undefeated.
Army's good.
I'm not look.
I know you're gonna hate on Army.
When it comes down to Army Navy this year, I'm feeling pretty good this year. So we'll see how that ends up. Who knows? Both of them could go in there undefeated. Can you imagine an Army Navy game? Both teams 11-0,
and then that's the AAC championship.
Yeah.
That would be one of the craziest things if the
Army you never know. Both teams.
So would they play again?
Yeah.
So they'd play.
Yeah, and that was so last year. Kind of backtracking here. Last year they announced that Army was joining the AAC like towards the end of the year, and that was a big argument we were having in the facility last year. Not an argument, but like a big discussion we're having in the facility last year because it was like, all right, we're already playing them last game of the year. Let's say hypothetically, we didn't know what happened this early, but we were like hypothetically, like
there's a chance
both teams down the road end up being extremely well. Like both end up putting in bids for the AAC championship. You play each other week 12, or I guess week 13 technically, but like 12th game of the year, and then you got to play each other again next week in the championship. Like it's gonna be kind of sticky, but I mean, and it also feels like. At that point, if that were to happen, the Army-Navy game wouldn't mean as much. Yeah, because,
I mean, you can't show anything. You can't show anything in that game. Yeah. So that kind of just – I'm not saying it wouldn't be good still. Because, again, it's Army-Navy.
Yeah.
But there'd be a version 2 this year.
Exactly. And that was definitely a big discussion in the facility last year when we found out the news. And now they're saying Air Force looks like they're going to join the American next year. So the Americans – moving all around. I mean, conference realignment. Like, it is what it is. Nothing you can really do about it. But let's see how Army Navy end up this year. I'm feeling really good about Navy this year. So shout out to them.
And again, I just want to bring up the game that's coming up this week. We got Georgia and Bama. That game is gonna determine a lot for the whole entire scope of college football.
Yeah.
Like that game will change so much.
It will have a lot of repercussions. You and me both feel pretty confident that Texas will end up being the 1 seed and end up winning the SEC. We could be wrong, but this game kind of shows who Texas could possibly go up against, which would be huge, especially kind of this early in the year.
100%. Who do you have in that game right now?
I mean, it's kind of tough. I feel like Georgia the last couple of weeks hasn't looked as strong as they could. I feel like Bama's looking pretty solid, but if I'm going with my gut instinct, I think somehow, someway Georgia pulls it off.
I also think Georgia's going to win this game. They were the number one team going into the country for a reason.
Yeah.
They've haven't even really fallen off. They were in a close game with Kentucky, and I mean, it wasn't supposed to happen like that, but you're going to have a game like that every now and
Look,
then.
correct me if I'm wrong. You've been in big time games like this, huge Power 5 games. It's a very different atmosphere, and not to say Kalen DeBoer didn't come from that. It's going to be a big difference coming from like a rivalry like Washington State. Now you're going to Georgia, Alabama. I feel like those are two completely different animals.
Yeah.
Will Kalen DeBoer step up to the plate, kind of have the same mindset? Who knows? Maybe he will. I just think it will be a little different. It will be interesting to see how he reacts.
Well, if he has Alabama looking like Washington did against Texas last year in the playoff game, they got a pretty good shot at Georgia. Yeah. But again, he's with Alabama now.
Yeah,
completely different monster.
That's what I'm saying. It's just completely different. There's no other way to put it other than it's just different.
Yeah, I mean, we just can't wait to see that game and the end result for that game because, like we said, it's going to change so much in college football.
Yeah, for sure.
So enough of college football for right now. We're moving on to the NFL. We're doing something a little different this week. We're going to do our top 10 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
in the NFL currently, and the way we did this list is that the first 3 games are definitely a factor into this list, but at the same time, it's so hard to just base a top 10 quarterback list based off of 3 games.
Yeah, for sure. Like JJ said, we're doing a general top 10 QB list with a big emphasis on how the first 3 games went for these guys.
So I don't want anybody freaking out seeing some of these names on here being like, there's no way he's a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, with the 3 games that have been played into account for this list, yes, they are. And I know you won't agree with me on a couple of them, but I believe they are.
We don't have the same list. These are 2 different lists from our opinion.
Yeah, so if you want, you can pull it up for us. So you got it. You can start.
So at number 10, I have Joe Burrow. I know some of you might be like, calling me crazy, whatever. Would you agree he hasn't, not to say he's bad, because he's not bad. Has he looked like the same Joe Burrow from the last 2 or 3 years?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Look, he's still a top 10 quarterback. You still have to give him his respects. He's still dangerous. Kind of woke up a little bit with Jamar Chase last night. But
I mean, it was the first game back. He had T. Higgins.
Exactly. But that's another reason why I kind of put him lower on the list. Like,
even with all of his weapons, he still didn't look the same.
And not only that, it took him to get, and this might sound wrong and unfair, it took him to get a second receiver like a T. Higgins to finally kind of show really what he brings. And I feel like some people may argue he's a top 5 quarterback. I feel like top 5 quarterbacks don't need a second receiver like T. Higgins to finally like.
Oh, that's very evident for the people at the top of the list.
Look, we'll get to that when we get there.
Yeah.
But right now I have Joe Burrow at 10.
And then my 10 is Jaden Daniels right now. Jaden Daniels right now is at 80.3% completion percentage. I know I'm preaching to the choir over here. You obviously have him higher on the list, but
a little bit. I'm crazy.
He's got 664 passing yards, 171 rushing yards, 835 total yards this year as a rookie. It was hard for me to say, okay, how do I put him in the top 10? Especially, we had some honorable mentions. We had Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. I just think Jaden's playing better than all of those guys right now. And it's really weird for me to say that, but he is. You go into Cincinnati as a rookie and beat the Bengals as a rookie.
Yep.
Don't turn the ball over.
Nope.
Very efficient.
Yep.
And I know how happy this is making you right now, just for me just saying this. And I need you to calm down because I know there's more for you to say with him being a 9
I'm trying my best not to.
But the only other thing I wanted to mention with him was right now he has a 10.59 sack rate, which even shows you how well he's playing still. He's getting sacked 1 out of every 10 snaps. Imagine if he was getting sacked 5% of the time and he was able to complete. He missed 2 passes last night, right?
Yeah.
He had a 90-something% completion percentage.
He had more total touchdowns than he had incompletions.
That's crazy. as a rookie.
In your third professional game.
And I mean, so I'm going to leave it at that at 10 because I know you have a lot more to say about him at 9.
Yeah, I have Jaden Daniels at 9. Did I want to put him higher so bad? But I have to be fair and I have to be honest. I'm not going to put you top 5, top 8, whatever, after 3 games as much as I want to. But you hit on a lot of the things. He has looked so impressive. He is by far not even close been the best overall rookie this class. He has
agree.
such poise, such confidence. You could tell he started 5 years in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just comes so natural to him. You already hit on the stats. 664 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. First passing touchdown to a big man. Shout out to the entire team.
Who was it?
Playing on the first name, something Scott, and I know I'm gonna get flamed for that. Something Scott. I know it starts with a B. He's like the backup right tackle.
He's the swing tackle.
Swing tackle. I'm good for you, big guy. But yeah, I just think Jaden has looked so impressive. You can't not put him in the top 10.
I just think it's crazy that you can say Jaden Daniels is better than Joe Burrow, and I'm not even saying you're wrong. I just think that is crazy.
Look at last night. What happened last night?
I'm not even saying. It's just crazy because if you would have told me that at the beginning of the year,
I would have. Okay, when you put it like that, I would be like, I want. That's a little too far. But after seeing how the first 3 games went, especially how Joe Burrow, like we discussed, has not looked the same, really. Like, that's why I put Jaden at 9.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I have him at 10, so I'm not too far off on you with that. But at 9 for me, I have Dak. The only reason I have Dak so low is because they're 1-2. And like I said in previous episodes, the Dallas Cowboys offense scares me. They're so one-dimensional. They are set up as a passing team, and they don't have a good run game to help it. And so when the run game starts to do bad, there's no passing game either. And you only have one weapon in CeeDee Lamb. Like, I won't say Brandon Cooks is another weapon. I'm not going to say that.
May I say something? It seems like, to me at least, you're kind of blaming the team failures all on Dak. Because you're saying they're lacking this, lacking that. This hasn't looked good. This hasn't looked that. Dak can only work with what he has.
Yeah.
And I feel like with what he has, he's doing well with what he has.
Again, that's why I have him at 9. But you're also 1-2. You put up, I can't remember how many. You put up 15 points on the Saints. You put up 19 points.
No, they got 25.
No, 19 points. It was 19 on the Saints.
19 on the Saints, 25 on the Ravens.
25 on the Ravens, and then they played the Browns. They've played some pretty tough defenses. Yeah. I'll give them that.
Especially with how unpredictable the NFL has been this year.
Yeah. I just, again, taking everything into account from previous years, Dak has proven he can't get it done in the playoffs.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I totally agree with you that, and I'll get onto it later. As you see, I have Dak higher, but
I mean, yeah, right now I would just have him at 9, just based off of the fact that they're 1-2, and I'm not putting all the blame on him. He's still a top 10 quarterback. I just can't put him any higher than 9 with the other guys on here right now.
Fair enough. All right, for me, number 8, I got Brock Purdy. I feel like that's another guy that people might be like, "You're crazy." I have bad news for you. He's a system quarterback, and that's all he'll ever be.
Which is shocking to me as to why you even have him at 8.
Because I look, I'm not, and I've said this for years. I was never really a Brock Purdy fan. I'm still not. I still feel like you could put basically almost any starting quarterback
except Anthony Richardson.
I disagree with that. Not to say I'm an Anthony Richardson fan, but I know you have your strong opinions on Anthony Richardson. I feel like Anthony Richardson could still work in a 49ers offense. But that's why I have him so low, because I feel like you can almost plug any quarterback in there. But I also have to give him his respects, because at the quarterback position, you have to win. You can't fault the guy. He's been winning. He's been winning the games. He's been taking them far in the playoffs. You just have to give him his respects there. Has over 800 passing yards, 4 TDs to just 1 interception, a 109.2 quarterback rating.
He only has 4 touchdowns?
Yeah.
He threw 3 touchdowns last game.
Yeah, but you also have to look at his weapons, which may sound crazy because you think 49ers, of course they have weapons. Brandon Ayuk has not looked the same. Debo's aging, getting hurt a little bit. And we'll kind of talk about this later as well, but weapons-wise, they don't look the same. They don't have McCaffrey,
But
which was huge, even having his presence, because at least you knew the run game was a threat. Not having McCaffrey, you're not as focused on the run game.
But here's the opposite side of that of you saying them not having any weapons. Juwan Jennings caught 3 touchdowns this past Sunday. So
had him on fantasy.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been really nice.
Great for me.
But that's my point is Juwan Jennings went out there and caught 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So for you to say he has no weapons to throw to, which again, he doesn't have the main guys that he normally has out there, but he still has Juwan Jennings out there making plays to score 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And they lose the game. They lose the game though.
Yeah, but you can't blame that fully on Brock Purdy, I feel like.
I just don't think you can put that win on him though. I think, or that law, like I'm going against myself here. I've just backtracked a little bit.
That's fine. But either way, we both agree he's a system quarterback, but he gets the results done, which is a huge part in being a quarterback. So that's why I have him at 8.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can't argue with it. I don't personally have him in the top 10 right now, but there's definitely an argument for that.
Again, I'm not a Brock Purdy fan,
which
I gotta give the respect.
Which brings me to my next guy, which a lot of people are probably like, why do you have him so high still? He's played 1 game this year, and they lost. They didn't lose that game because of Jordan Love.
Not at all. He looked, if anything, he looked good in that game.
He looked better than Jalen Hurts in that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for that, and from last year, being way better than what anybody would have thought he was going to be, I have him at 8. He's looked like a true franchise quarterback. It's unfortunate he has an injury right now. Yeah. But I just
might be back this week, though.
Yeah. He was trying to get back last week.
Yeah.
He was trying to get back the week he got hurt.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they said it's tending towards he's playing this weekend.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
But the only reason I don't have him any higher on this list right now is because he's only played 1 game this year.
Yeah.
And like we said, we're accounting the games from this year.
Yeah.
You can't really have him any higher on the list, in my opinion, just because he's only played 1 game. Yeah. And they lost that game. And it's not to say I don't think Jordan Love's a really good quarterback. I think he's an amazing quarterback. Mm-hmm. But for right now, he's at 8 for me.
Got it. I mean, my guy, 7 is Jordan Love, and it's literally for the exact reasons you said. Like, I think he's a great quarterback, but you have to factor in it's only been 1 game. But that 1 game, he did look good.
Looked very good.
Yeah, so, like, I feel like it wouldn't be fair to not have him in the top 10 at all. It's not his fault he got hurt, but what he showed so far in the 1 game, and again, this is also a general list, so you got to count last year. He's an impressive quarterback, so that's why I have him at 7.
Yep. And so my number 7 is Joe Burrow. I'm a little higher on Joe Burrow than you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even coming out here and saying Joe Burrow has looked like his old self. But with the stats he's put up this year, he has 5 touchdowns, no picks. Mm-hmm. With no help in those first 2 games outside of Jamar Chase, really. In those first 2 games, Jamar Chase did not look like he wanted to be out there.
No.
And so you come into those, after playing those 2 games, you come into that 3rd game against a really bad Commanders team.
Yeah. Let's be specific. Really bad Commanders defense. Be specific.
Sure. A really bad Commanders defense.
Yes.
Joe Burrow came out and still looked really good.
Yeah.
Was it enough to win them the game? No. Was the Bengals defense at fault for losing them that game? Yes.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Should Joe Burrow have scored more points? Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. But he has still looked like a top 7 quarterback to me. He was a for sure lock in top 5 quarterback at the beginning of the year. But after these first couple games, you start 0-3, you can't be a top 5 quarterback.
No, I completely agree with you.
Especially with the teams you lose to.
No, I agree with you there. That's why I had him lower. Like you said, in the preseason, for sure, top 5, no question about it. You got to look at the last 3 games. And we're not blaming the losses on him. We understand. But you can't sit here and watch the film and say he looks the same he has the last couple of years.
Because there was arguments he was the 2nd best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Before this season.
Now I already know we're going to get a bunch of 12-year-old haters saying some of the comments. It's fine.
He doesn't have an offensive line. He didn't have everybody healthy. Well, guess what? He did yesterday. And guess what? They lose to the Commanders.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, again, he's the 7th best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, we're not even saying he's bad.
Yeah, we're going to get hate for it no matter what.
Yeah.
Especially for who I have at 6, but I'll let you go first with who you have at 6.
For 6, I have Aaron Rodgers. I have him there for a few different reasons. Does it suck? He only played 4 snaps last year. Yes, that might be the reason he's not in the top 5. But come on, dude. It's Aaron Rodgers. And not only that, it's looking like he's making a great comeback.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we didn't think about in our first episode where we did what was it, the first or second episode? We did the awards, who that was going awards. Neither of us said Aaron Rodgers.
We wanted to be a little bold, but we were too bold.
Look, right now, Aaron Rodgers is looking like he's not fully at his old self, but he's kind of tending towards that way where he's getting more comfortable, gelling with the offense more. Right now, he has 5 touchdowns to just 1 interception, 103.1 quarterback rating. He's looking pretty
with that interception coming off a tipped ball.
Exactly. Like, he looks like he's slowly but surely coming to the old Aaron Rodgers.
For sure. No, I can't argue with you. I have him higher on the list. I'll get to that in a little bit. But at number 6, I have my guy, and it's not your guy at all, but my guy, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has been stellar through the first 3 games of the year. And I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. Sam Darnold has been dealt the worst cards possible by any NFL quarterback in the past 5 years, I'd say. 6 years. For, what was he, 2018? So 6 years. Sam Darnold went to the Jets, who were the laughingstock of the league. He gets shipped off to the Panthers, which the Panthers are not any better than what they are right now. They're still an awful franchise and were an awful franchise. Now he goes to a team that has the best receiver in the NFL. And look what he's doing. He's putting up crazy numbers. He's winning the Vikings football games when the Vikings weren't even supposed to be a team this year that were supposed to be competing. They weren't a team that was supposed to be competing this year. And he brings the Vikings in. And again, the Vikings defense has looked really good. But Sam Darnold has also looked really good. Like, I don't know how you can't throw him on the top 10. Not even at like 10.
Look, I'm going to just say this. He will show you exactly who he is.
What did you say last week? He'll show you who he is this week against the Texans. And goes and hangs out 34 points on the Texans.
Yeah, I said give him till week 6. Sometime by week 6, he will show you exactly who he is. I think there's a good chance it happens this week. Could be wrong. Guarantee you by week 6. We know who Sam Darnold is. Was he given a fair shot? Not exactly. Boo-hoo.
Not at all.
It's the NFL. Grow up. We go pamper him or something. Who cares?
No,
but
we aren't moving past him.
No. You know who he is. You know exactly who he is. He's going to show you who he is by week 6. Could it happen this week? We'll see. Guaranteed week 6. We will see the true Sam Darnold. I'm not worried about it. He's not a top 10 quarterback.
So let me just get this straight. If Sam Darnold's 5-0 going into week 6, and he just has a terrible game week 6,
I feel like at that point it would be too unfair to like shun him from the national media. But me, myself, I will know what is coming.
So then from that game on, he's just going to be terrible?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't win for losing with you on Sam Darnold, but we'll move on to number 5. We both have the same number 5.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, he looked really impressive this past weekend. Kind of iffy, but it's still CJ Stroud. 709 yards, 4 touchdowns. Does have 2 interceptions. Looking to clean that up, but CJ Stroud is looking like a seasoned veteran, only in his sophomore year. So I'm really excited to see where this goes for him.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have him at 5 as well. Stroud is a really good quarterback.
He is.
He has a lot of weapons to help distribute the ball, too.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's all of the weapons that are making him look good, because he does make all the right decisions. Again, you said he has 2 picks. Got to clean that up.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, CJ Stroud is still, to me, a top 5 quarterback in this league.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially only being his second season and 3 games into his second season.
He just looks like he's been in here for so long.
Yeah, he looks very, very comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
And knows how to win games. Other than this past game, who he lost to, Sam Darnold.
Trust me, we know who he is.
Yeah, we know he is a good quarterback when he has a good team.
Look, when it all goes down, when it hits the fan, just know I said so. And I'm going to let everyone know.
I'm waiting for it. Still ain't happening.
It's going to happen soon. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen soon. All right, number 4, I have Dak Prescott. I'm a little higher on him.
Which is crazy to me.
How is it crazy? Look.
No, because you slander the Cowboys so much.
Because I have to. Legally, I have to. Are the Eagles a good team?
It's in the Commander's contract clause.
Yeah, like, you always have to just give it rough to your rivals. Like, you know what I mean? Not like that. Look.
Pause.
Major pause. You just have to be rude and disrespectful to the rivals. Am I going to slander?
You got to give it to them.
Yeah, I guess so. Back on track. Dak Prescott, number 4, 851 yards, 4 touchdowns. He ended with the number 2 votes, I believe, in the MVP last year, right behind Lamar.
Did he?
Yeah. Had the second
That's
most
crazy.
votes. I agree. But really. Because when you look at it,
look at what though? That they're 1-2?
He has 100% rushing success rate. He does. Don't argue with me. Argue with the stats. Those are the stats.
How many times has he rushed the ball this year?
Look, he's no Jaden Daniels. But look,
that's the whole thing right there. You're bringing up rushing statistics with Dak Prescott.
I'm not saying that's why he's at 4. I'm just trying to boost him up a little bit.
Yeah, because he should be down at 9.
No, Dak Prescott. It's not his fault. And again, I'm not necessarily a Dak Prescott fan. I hate Dallas. I'm not a fan of Prescott. But you have to be fair. Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback in the league.
I don't think so.
All right, who do you have it for then?
I have Aaron Rodgers, who you had at 6. Aaron Rodgers, after this past week, to me at least, has shown he is almost back to his normal self. He was maneuvering out of the pocket, which was the big thing with him, was to see if he can get back to that old self of just free-flowing football and not just have to stand in the pocket.
Yeah.
As soon as he was able to escape the pocket, you know Aaron Rodgers can make any play happen outside the pocket. And it's just so exciting to see because
it's nostalgic almost.
It's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like, we grew up watching the Aaron Rodgers that just ran around in the backfield in circles and just would throw a ball up and it'd be a touchdown.
Time and time again, he shows he's that dude.
Yeah, he is one of the most clutch players in the league.
I can't really argue with you putting him in top 5.
Yeah, and again, I think that's pretty consensus top 3, which we're going to move on to just now, in a couple seconds.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different order, and we will get to that.
Yeah.
But we both have the same guy for 3 as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson. There's not really much to say. No, Lamar is electrifying.
But he's the 3rd best.
Yeah, it is what it is. The MVP last year definitely helps, but right now he has 702 passing yards. A little shocking, just 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Maybe he'll get the passing touchdowns up. I feel like this is probably the best weapons he's had while he's been in the league.
But that's the other point I wanted to make was you were talking about Joe Burrow earlier, needing those weapons to help him. Those top 3 guys we got up there, tell me who on those teams have any better receivers than Joe Burrow.
That's a fair point, but I would say at least for 2 of the 3, and I don't mean any disrespect by this, they at least have silverware to back it up. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm putting them higher than
No, I'm agreeing with you. That's what I'm saying with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow should be probably lower on my list.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to put him lower just because I still think there's a chance.
Can you imagine if any of these top 3 quarterbacks had Jamar Chase?
Yeah, that's the whole point I was trying to make.
That would be insane.
Not even just Jamar Chase. Give one of them T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Could you imagine one of those 3 with T. Higgins?
Yeah, that would be insane. But yeah, we both have Lamar at 3 for those reasons.
And I'm going to let you go first because I got some words to say.
Look, it doesn't take rocket science. Josh Allen, very good quarterback. Honestly, probably front runner for MVP. So as of now, in the first 3 games, but he's only at number 2. 634 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
What'd you say?
0 interceptions.
Josh Allen has 0 interceptions?
Shocking, right?
Josh Allen has 0 interceptions.
I would have never guessed that.
You said Josh Allen had 0 interceptions?
Yeah, I said that.
Do you guys know Josh Allen has 0 interceptions?
The turnover merchant himself, 0 interceptions. Crazy.
I think you're wrong. He has 0 interceptions?
0 interceptions.
Oh, that's crazy. Because
it's insane.
All I know is that Josh Allen turns the ball over all the time.
Apparently. Doesn't look like it this year. Maybe he turned a leaf. 133.7 quarterback rating. Also adding a little sprinkle, 2 rushing touchdowns. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Good for the Bills.
Good for them too. However, I can only put him at 2, and I'll get to those reasons later. Tell me who your 2 is.
My 2 is Pat Mahomes because he is the number 2 quarterback right now. Pat Mahomes, the Messiah, has 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
How many interceptions does Josh Allen have again?
0.
0?
Mm-hmm.
How many does Patrick Mahomes have?
It's your number 2. Go ahead.
4.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has turned the ball over 4 times in 3 games. Yeah. How is he better than Josh Allen right now?
Do you want me to get into that? Or do you want to continue? You should continue your...
They're both the same record, right? They're both 3-0. Mm-hmm. Who has better weapons?
I would go Mahomes right now has better weapons, yeah.
And Josh has how many turnovers again?
0.
With a worse weaponry.
All right, time out. Let's not act like he has absolutely 0 weapons.
Name one of them that's like a top 20 receiver right now.
I can't.
And he's going out there. He has 9 touchdowns. No interceptions. 0.
He's been waiting for this rant for a while.
0 interceptions. But Josh Allen's the turnover merchant. And Mahomes is getting he's just sitting back and they're all giving him his flowers still. But he's the one with 4 picks and 4 fewer touchdowns. And they almost lost those 2 games. Did they win those games? Yes. Should they have won those games? No. They are this close from being 1-2. Because Pat was turning the ball over. And that's Josh's biggest thing, is he turns the ball over. And now it's flipped. But guess what? People are like, nope, Mahomes is still the best. He's still the best. He could turn the ball over, but he's still the best.
He is.
Why? Why is he the best right now?
Do you want to know why?
Because he has rings.
Number 1 quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. Why do I have him at number 1, and why does he deserve to be number 1? We said this is a general list with a big emphasis in the top 3, which is why, Josh Allen.
The first 3 games, yeah.
Yeah, Josh Allen, number 2, very close to being number 1. However, you are number 1 until they can beat you. He has the rings, the MVPs, undefeated. You want to take that 1 spot, beat him.
Okay, fair point. Beat him for sure, right?
Beat him. Easy as that. You want to be number 1 that bad, beat him.
No, I understand that. And people just kind of glaze over the fact that we've beaten the Chiefs 2 years in a row in the regular season. Again, it's the regular season. Regular season. So we're just going to act like the regular season doesn't matter anymore?
You know what? Because it matters more than the regular season.
Because you know what? You know what's funny? It really matters when it's Josh Allen when it comes to the regular season.
What do you mean by that?
Whenever Josh Allen goes out there and throws 18 interceptions in a season, it's, Josh Allen just turns the ball over all the time. Did they still make the playoffs?
Yeah. How far in the playoffs do they make it?
They've made it to the AFC Championship game and the AFC Conference games. They haven't made it as far as Mahomes. I'm not saying that. But in the regular season, everybody gets on Josh Allen for turning the ball over. You know how many interceptions Josh Allen's thrown in the playoffs?
How many?
4. In all of his playoff games. You know how many interceptions Mahomes has thrown in the playoffs?
How many?
10. Does he have 8 more games than him? Yes. But if you keep
how many
up...
rings Mahomes has? You know how many MVPs Mahomes has? You know how many rings Josh Allen has? You know how many MVPs Josh Allen has? Is, again, big emphasis on the first 3 games. Call it what it is. You are the champion. You are number 1. You want someone else to be number 1? Go out and beat him.
I just am sick of everybody saying Josh Allen turns the ball over. But as soon as Mahomes goes out there and does it, it's, okay, whatever. It's the regular season.
Josh Allen doesn't know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
But that's the whole slander of Josh Allen, is that he turns the ball over. And now that he's not turning the ball over, people don't know what to do.
Look, and maybe I plan on probably doing this list later on in the season, maybe halfway through or whatever. This could be completely different. It could be Josh Allen at 1, Mahomes at 2 or 3.
Why though? Why would it change?
Because
I'll be honest with you,
can I be honest with you?
What?
Let's say this continues. I would not be surprised if midway through the season I give in. I'm like, you know what? Josh Allen is the best quarterback.
But so let's say this track continues.
Mm-hmm.
Josh maybe has 2 picks by week 10.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even 4.
Mm-hmm.
Pep already has 4.
Mm-hmm.
Why would it be any different then than it is now?
Because we're seeing the consistency of it. I can't put him at 1 when it's been 3 games. And I don't want it to sound like he's only had 3 good games. He's had seasons worth of great games. That's why you're the number 2 quarterback in the entire NFL. And that's why you're only trailing by probably the best quarterback that's going to live once he finally retires.
I just think, all right, let me move over, Pat. It's time for Josh. He's number 1 right now. I don't care what you say. Josh Allen is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL that's right now.
That's fine. You can think that. Give it time. Again, big emphasis on the 3 games. It's only been 3 games. You want to take that number 1 spot, go out and earn it, go out and beat him. Until that happens, Mahomes is at 1.
Let's just say this happens again this year. The Bills beat the Chiefs again in the regular season and lose to them in the playoffs. But Josh has a significantly better season than Pat does this year.
What's significant? Like not even close?
Like what their numbers are right now, if they continue.
Just like times 4 or
yeah.
whatever. Then yeah, at that point, I think you have to look at Josh Allen.
But why is it any different? Still,
because it's only been 3 games. I answered you.
No, I know, but why does that matter? Why wouldn't he be number 1 right now then?
Because it's only been 3 games. I have to see more.
But he's done it for seasons.
You know what Mahomes has done for seasons? More than Josh Allen. So why should Josh Allen be above Mahomes?
So if they've both done good things for the past...
But one has done better.
I know, right now?
Right now, I'm not giving you the crown over 3 games. Because you have 3 better games than someone else, I'm not giving you the crown yet.
All I'm saying is right now, Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL.
I will give you credit here. If we were to judge it only solely, no background stuff, no knowledge of anything else, just look at the first 3 games, who is the best player in the NFL, then I'd be like, yes, Josh Allen has been the best player in the NFL. But I'm not viewing it that way. I'm not viewing it as only these 3 games matter, nothing else.
You're wrong.
That's all I'm going to say.
You're wrong.
I'm not. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback still in the NFL. Has he looked a little shaky? Sure.
You just said he wasn't.
I didn't say he wasn't looking shaky.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. You just said Josh was the best player in the league right now.
Off of these first 3 games, yeah.
But that's not what you just said.
What I just said.
You said Pat is still the best quarterback in the NFL.
He is, because you have to have context with it.
You have to have context.
The Super Bowl rings, the MVPs. Okay.
Who has a Super Bowl appearance? Who else has Super Bowl rings? Matt Stafford? You're going to just put him... You're going to throw Matt Stafford up on this list?
Good and well, that's not a good argument.
You're going to throw him up on this list because you're going to put him at 10 because he's won a Super Bowl in the past?
That's not what I was saying at all.
No?
No.
Then why isn't he number 1?
What are you talking about?
Because Pat Mahomes has Super Bowl rings, he's number 1 right now.
He has shown year after year.
This guy, Aaron Rodgers, got a couple Super Bowl rings.
Has Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers for the past 4 seasons proven that they are the best quarterback?
Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs.
I'll give you Aaron Rodgers. Has Matthew Stafford? Yeah, but even you don't have him at number 1.
No.
Would you say Matthew Stafford?
Exactly.
That's why. Exactly. What are you saying then? Exactly.
That's why I don't have him at number 1, Aaron Rodgers, because it's in the past. It's in the past.
Okay, but you're making right now. Oh my God, you're making it seem like the past was like 10 years ago. The past was a few months ago. He beat you a few months ago. He won his Super Bowl a few months ago. And he is the best. You know why you know why Allen isn't the best? Because he hasn't gotten the job done when it truly matters.
Because of Sean McDermott.
We're not talking about Sean McDermott. We're talking about the quarterbacks. When you look at Mahomes and you look at Allen, if you could take one to lead your entire franchise and you don't choose Mahomes, I don't know what to tell you.
I've already told you, as we talked about this last week, if you press that button, I'm keeping Josh Allen.
You're insane. No. Would you agree by the time he retires, Patrick Mahomes will be the best quarterback, if not the second best quarterback to ever live?
Yeah.
Why would you not push that button then?
Because it's the scenario.
No,
it's
bro.
the situation.
You're telling me you're willing to miss out on a top 1 or 2 quarterback in NFL history because you're too prideful.
No,
Josh Allen
not
being
prideful.
Your quarterback.
It's not prideful. It's the situation they were both dealt. If Josh Allen, like I said last week, goes to Kansas City, I think they have just as many Super Bowl rings. If Mahomes goes to the Bills, I still don't think they have a Super Bowl.
So you think if Patrick Mahomes were on the Bills right now,
they have 0 Super Bowl rings?
And you know what? You may be right. I don't know. You may be right. I think they would have at least 1.
Maybe. I just don't think so. I honestly do not think they would.
You don't think a top 1 or 2?
Because of the reasons I mentioned last week.
And look, they were good. I'll give you they were good reasons.
No, but
you brought
it's
up
not
valid
even
reasons.
They lost 2 games because Stephon Diggs dropped the pass and the 13-second stuff happened. The Bills would have won the Super Bowl that year. Josh Allen against the Bucs instead of Pat Mahomes, who was hobbling the entire game and had no offensive line that game. They got killed by the Bucs. Josh Allen played the Bucs earlier that year, lost to them in overtime. You get to see them again with a healthier team than what you had earlier in the season. They are beating them.
Look, we could talk about ifs and buts all day long.
For sure.
At the end of the day, what happened? Mahomes, not that specific Super Bowl, but he still played well that Super Bowl. His receivers were dropping the ball. He had O-line. That's fine. And he still played well. Even more credit to him. He still looked really good out there, injured with no O-line. And Tyreek dropped.
They lost 31-9.
Do you remember Tyreek Hill himself dropped a touchdown?
And they lost 31-9.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with that. Like, that's what I said, not really that Super Bowl, but he gets the job done. There's a reason he has the rings. There's a reason he has the MVPs. There's a reason why he is who he is.
Well, there is a reason why Sean McDermott won't be the head football coach of the Buffalo Bills next year if the Bills don't win the Super Bowl this year. Because based off of the first 3 games of the season, there is no reason the Bills do not have the best chance in the NFL right now to win the Super Bowl.
I'll agree with you there. I can't argue. The Bills have looked like probably the best team in the league. Like I said, if we're solely based off the first 3 games, Josh Allen looks like the best quarterback. And like I said, we're probably going to do this like midway through the season. I could totally flip this. Be like, yep, I can't deny anymore. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league. Until that happens, you have to beat him for me to give you the 1 spot.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not even mad about that. I'm just so adamant that right now Josh is number 1.
That's fine. You're just wrong. That's fine.
You're wrong. We're both gonna find out who's wrong.
Yeah, like the way this NFL season has gone, who really knows what's gonna
be? It's gonna be.
Half these people might not even be on the list.
Sam Darnold might be on the bench.
Jordan Love might not even play for the next 3 weeks. Who knows? Like we really don't know.
I want to say something so bad it would make you so mad. So
don't bring up Jaden. Don't bring up Jaden.
No, it had to do with him, so I'm not gonna bring it up.
Don't bring it up. Don't bring up the young Messiah like that.
Joe Burrow could win every single game for the rest of the season.
Joe Burrow could end up being a top 3 quarterback.
Again.
Yeah. Like who we don't know. We will see. We definitely plan on doing this again later on in the season.
So enough of that for right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to our week 4 predictions. The first game we got this week, Thursday Night Football, is the Cowboys and the Giants. Who you got?
Cowboys and Giants, huh?
Cowboys and Giants.
I'm gonna go with Dallas. I know they've looked shaky recently. I just think the Giants are worse, honestly. And was a good win for the Giants this past week. Good for them. Malik Neighbors looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
Looking like he was probably the best receiver in the draft class.
Yep.
But
you can't count it. Marv's looked good too.
Yeah, he has. No disrespect to Marv at all, but I'm gonna just go with Dallas here.
I'm also going with Dallas. Would I be surprised if the Giants win this game? Not
necessarily. No,
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Those games in the NFC East are always close games, no matter how good that team is, or how bad the team that they're playing is. Like you guys did it a couple years ago.
People always rip on the NFC East. One thing you can't deny is always entertaining.
Very good games.
Yeah.
No matter, again, how good that team is or how bad the teams are.
Just means more coach.
Yeah, it does. But for what you kind of already mentioned, I'm taking the Cowboys. I just think they're a better team.
Yeah.
The next game, we got the Broncos and the Jets. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the Jets. I like the direction they're headed in. I think they're really progressing offensively and defensively. Therefore, I'm going to go with the Jets.
I'm also going with the Jets. I feel like they're gelling as a team finally.
Yeah.
There was the whole thing at the beginning of the year was Aaron Rodgers the problem with the Jets.
Yeah.
Doesn't really look like that anymore.
Nope.
There were a couple plays in that game last week where he got hit late and all the offensive linemen were running over and starting fights with the guys that hit him.
I love when that happens.
You wouldn't see that if they didn't like Aaron.
Not at all.
So
not just even like it's a respect thing, really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So for the fact that they're doing that and the team seems like they're building some chemistry, and they seem like they're headed in the right direction. The Broncos surprising win this past weekend against the Bucs. They're the Broncos still.
Yeah.
Bo Nix played good.
I'll give him credit. He is playing better than I personally thought he would look.
Like you could say you think that. I think this is exactly what Bo Nix was going to be. He had 26 completions. He only had 200 passing yards.
Yeah.
He did the same thing in college. He was get the ball out quick, move the ball down the field. Very efficient. And he did it this week. And guess what? They won the game. Those first 2 weeks, they didn't do it. Could that continue? Maybe. Do I see it continuing? No.
Not this week, at least.
No. Not against the Jets defense.
No.
So I'm taking the Jets as well. The next game, we got the Vikings and the Packers. Very exciting game, especially if Jordan Love's playing in this game.
Yeah. Honestly, I could see this going either way if Sam Darnold continues his lucky streak that he is on. But I think Jordan Love's going to come back. I think this will be the beginning of Sam Darnold showing who he really is. Therefore, I'm going with the Packers.
I'm taking Sam Darnold and the Vikings. I think Sam Darnold continues his hot streak. I know you're preying on his downfall.
I am.
I know you are, which is why he's going to continue to win because it's not going to happen. There is not going to be a Sam Darnold downfall.
So do you think he's the franchise guy?
I think I don't know if we've talked about this on the show
slightly
yet.
Last week we slightly talked about
if Sam goes on to say win anywhere from 10 to 13 games, I think you keep Sam and you trade away McCarthy. I just think it would be very tough for them to be like, okay, let's move on from a guy that just won us. Let's say they win 11 games. With a team that wasn't supposed to win 11 games specifically, right? They weren't supposed to win 11 games this year. You keep the guy that's won you those games. And you trade the guy that's still unknown and still has value. Like, I just think you move McCarthy.
I'm going to be honest, I think it would be dumb to trade away a guy that you traded up for after one season of him being hurt. I feel like they might possibly meet somewhere in the middle of us where they keep J.J. McCarthy. Even if he is healthy, they have him benched. Let Sam Darnold continue, see where he goes. Just have J.J. McCarthy learn. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's an option as well.
Well, obviously you're going to say that because you think even if Sam Darnold goes out and wins MVP this year, then some point next year he's going to fall off all of a sudden.
No, look, if Sam Darnold somehow continues this, I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong. I will admit, dude, if he gets like halfway through the season looking like this, I will admit, like, hey, I was wrong about him. He's legit now.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you're saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm taking the Vikings. You're taking the Packers?
Yeah.
All right. Next game, we got the Saints and the Falcons. Another very good game.
I think this could be a 50-50 game as well. I just think the Eagles kind of expose a lot of weaknesses throughout the Saints. So I think the Falcons will somehow pull it off.
I also am taking the Falcons in this game.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, the Saints definitely struggled more against the Eagles. That was the first real test that they had this year. The Cowboys' defense didn't look great and hasn't looked great.
No.
And then
they play the Panthers.
Beat the Panthers. So that doesn't even count.
Nope.
But the Falcons are just playing really good football right now. They should have beat the Chiefs, and they beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
The Eagles, in my opinion, are still a top 5 team right now.
You could definitely argue it for sure.
And you go and you beat the Eagles, and you're in a very close game with the consensus number 2
Let's
team.
add you were the away team in that as well. So that's pretty impressive.
For what?
Itself. So when they went against the Eagles. Talking about the Falcons, right?
Oh, that was a home game.
No, I'm pretty sure they were in Philly.
I'm pretty sure it was in Atlanta. Both of those games were in Atlanta, I'm pretty sure. But regardless, you shouldn't have even been in that game to start with.
On paper, no.
No. Yeah. And I just think the Falcons are playing really good football right now. And Kirk looks like he is getting back up to speed. and has looked good in his last couple games. So
Drake London's getting more involved.
Drake London's getting involved. Kyle Pitts is getting involved.
I've been
Bijan's just laying people out on blocks.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks like it's all coming together for them offensively for sure.
And that defense is very good too. You hold the Chiefs to 29. You hold the Chiefs to 22 points.
I believe so.
Yeah, they hold the Chiefs to 22 points. I think again, very easily could see the Saints winning this game, but the Falcons are at home. Mm-hmm. I'm taking the Falcons in that game.
Same. Yeah.
All right, next game we got the Eagles and the Bucks. Who you got?
I know I said this the last two games, but really I do see this could be a tight one. This could be a really close one. But I'm going to give it to the Eagles. I feel like Baker Mayfield is not necessarily on a downward slope. I just think he is going to show that it was a little bit too much hype for him, and I think the Eagles have a solid defense. They're going to frustrate him, so I'm going to go with the Eagles.
I'm also taking the Eagles in this game. Like you said, the Bucks took a step back from last week. Mm-hmm. They scored 7 points against the Broncos, and not to take anything away from the Broncos, they have a very good defense. Mm-hmm. But to give up 27 points to Bo Nix, not a great look.
No, that's a fair point. Yeah.
When you got a way more high-powered offense coming in there, I don't see how they stop Saquon Barkley.
Nah.
Saquon Barkley just put up 170 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the Saints.
Yeah.
I don't see the Bucs stopping that. And even if, the only way I could see this going the Bucs' way is if Devontae doesn't play. Because Devontae got hurt in that last game.
He did, yeah.
And it's
concussion,
very real possibility he doesn't play this week. And especially if A.J. Brown's out.
Yeah.
Both of those guys out. We talked about him last week. Going back to Jahan
Dotson.
Which is very scary if you're an Eagles fan.
You don't want that to happen, no.
But with all that said, the Bucs just looked really bad last week. And it's really hard to say, they're going to turn it around after that game.
Against an Eagles defense.
Against a very good Eagles defense. And the run game is still going to be very strong.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Eagles in that one.
For sure.
Next, we got the Bengals and the Panthers.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, you can.
I feel like you owe a certain someone an apology.
I do owe an apology to Andy Dalton, and only Andy Dalton. I'm sorry, Andy Dalton. I know you were a good player. I just don't have any faith in the Panthers and still have no faith
And you know what? That's fair, because what they've shown the last 2 or 3 years, it's fair to say you don't have faith in the Panthers.
And let me just get this out of the way. I'm picking the Bengals in this game, and I'll let you talk about it for a minute. Who you're going to pick?
I'm picking the Bengals as well, yeah.
So going back to the Panthers, you guys look even dumber now than you did before. What did that just prove? What did that prove? That the guy you picked first overall can't win it?
Traded a lot for
the guy that you picked number 1 overall and traded everything away to get. Yeah. Can't win a game in the NFL. But guess what?
Andy Dalton.
You could throw Andy Dalton in the game, and guess what? He can win a game.
Not only did he win, that offense looked good. Deontay Johnson had a career game. They looked good. That offense looked good.
What are they doing?
I don't know.
What does that even prove?
May I say, God bless the Panthers. They have been carrying the NFL on their back for the past 3 years. The drama y'all bring. The greatest reality TV show ever. And it's all because of the Panthers. The drama and spice they bring to this league it's very underrated, and they need to be given flowers for it. Because they have been carrying this league on their back for the past 2 or 3 years.
Again, good on you, Andy Dalton. I'm sorry. You used to be a really good quarterback.
Another guy, very nostalgic.
Very underrated quarterback.
I was really excited for this game because it was like... And did you see him take a picture with Marvin Lewis, too?
No.
Yeah, because Marvin Lewis is like a coach on the Raiders, and I was like, wow.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
This is like my childhood. This is like the early 2010s right here.
Yeah. Well, going back to it, it puts them in an even worse spot than they already were.
I know I brought this up to you. If I were the Panthers, this is what I would do. And if you disagree, you're just wrong. I would trade Bryce Young by the deadline. Get the best value you could get out of him. You start Andy Dalton the rest of the year. You will still finish with a top 5 or top 10 pick. And if you think you're finishing outside the top 10, you're crazy. Like, it was one game. Andy Dalton's.
They're still going to have a top 3 pick.
Yeah, you're going to finish top 5, top 10 for sure.
If they finish outside the top 5, I don't know what you're smoking.
I'm just being conservative.
No, there is no conservative in that. If the Panthers finish outside of the top 5 in picks this year, you could tell me to do anything. I will do.
You heard that? That's on camera. If the Panthers finish outside the top 5 in the draft this year, comment down what you want to see JJ do, and he will do it.
That's not happening.
You just said it'll happen.
No, I'm saying it's not happening that they're finishing outside of the top 5.
Let's hope they do. Yeah, I would trade Bryson and start Andy Dalton. You're going to finish with a, for sure. JJ thinks top 3. I'm going to be a little more conservative, top 5, top 10 pick. With that pick, you draft your future quarterback next draft. You do not trade up. Do not trade up. It's not going to work out.
What do you mean it's the Panthers? They're trading.
Don't do it.
Everybody. They're trading Derek Brown. They'll give them anybody.
Wherever you are, you stay there. You stay there. You ride it out. You draft your franchise quarterback from wherever you were drafting from. Do not trade up.
Well,
that's what I would do if I were the Panthers GM.
They ain't getting Shador. There's no way he's going there. No. Not getting Shador. What, you're going to take Quinn?
Ewers, Beck?
You're going to take Quinn? Huh. If you finish out, like you said, outside the top 5, you're not getting Beck.
It's still early. We don't know where a lot of these guys could end up. You know how draft boards work. Like, there's always one quarterback that shoots up out of nowhere. People slide, people move up. We simply don't know how it's going to turn out.
But with right now, you're not getting Beck. You're definitely not getting Shador.
But if they finish top 3, why wouldn't they get Beck?
Because the number 1 team's picking them.
We don't know that. What if the number 1 team wants Shador? Which I'm not saying I would take one. I'm saying what if the number 1 team for
and the whole thing is Shador gets to decide where Shador wants to play. Maybe. And unless it's the Dallas Cowboys at number 1 somehow, I don't think Shador is going to want to play for the number 1 team that finished this past year with the worst record.
We'll see. There's so much that could happen between here and now. But that's just what I would do if I were the Panthers. Back to the matchup. We both have the Bengals in this, right?
The Bengals, because the Panthers are poverty and will be poverty forever until David Tepper croaks.
Although it would be nice to see Andy Dalton beat his former team. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think it will happen. But I didn't think they would win last week, and they won.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together there. They probably will win. Just keep it going. Have the Bengals go 0-4 and lose to Andy Dalton. That is the most NFL thing to happen.
What will happen if the Bengals start 0-4 with a loss to Washington and Carolina, the top two picks from last year?
I think you just burn the city down and you restart the franchise.
That's not a bad idea at all.
There's no way that team should be 0-4.
If you told me before the season started that the Bengals would be 0-4 and their latest 2 losses would be to Washington on Monday night at home and against Carolina, I would think
if that were to happen,
some sort of
more realistically, Zach Taylor would be the first head coach fired in the NFL. He might beat Doug Peterson.
I mean, if you start 0-4, there's a good shot.
With that team.
Yeah.
There's no way that team should be 0-3.
No.
That team should be at
one win.
At worst, 2-1. You lose.
I'd say at worst 1-2.
You lose to the Patriots. You look good against the Chiefs, and then you go out and lay an egg against the Commanders. And if you guys don't beat the Panthers by 3 touchdowns, it's a loss for me. You guys are going nowhere if you can't.
Yeah, if you start 0-4 and you lose to the Commanders and the Panthers
and the Patriots.
Yeah, this season you lose to the top 3 picks from last year's draft. Your season might be. It's pretty much over. It's pretty much over.
It's over, and you're looking for a new head coach. You're probably looking for a new number 1 receiver because he ain't gonna want to stay there. And T. Higgins
come to Washington. I'm talking about Jamar.
No, yeah, no, he's going to Buffalo because he wants to play with.
That would actually be pretty
with a winning team. But I'm not going to get on a tangent here. Panthers still in trouble. Bengals could be in very big trouble.
If the Bengals lose this week, smashing the panic button, like freaking punching it.
So out of the battle of the defeateds, we're both taking the Bengals.
Yes.
Next, we got the Jaguars and the Texans.
I'm going with the Texans. I know you went on a little love fest with the Jaguars.
Again, let me
earlier.
stop.
I'll let you go ahead and speak. Sure.
I was completely wrong about the Jaguars.
They suck.
The Jaguars might be the worst team in the NFL.
They could have a top 3 pick. You want to talk about someone have a top 3 pick? They could have a top 3 pick, which I did not see coming.
No, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later in another segment we're going to do. But they look bad.
It's bad. You want to talk about pushing the panic button? They're pretty close to it.
Like going into the game last night, me watching the Bills-Jaguars game, you're always nervous watching your team play.
Yeah, for sure.
After the first play of the game, I was like, oh, okay. This is going to be a very boring game.
And we both had the Bills winning last night. But you have to admit, you didn't think it was going to be like that. No one did. No. You don't win like that in the NFL, especially when you just paid your quarterback that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be a lot better than that, and they just haven't showed it.
And again, you're going up against an angry Texans team who just got their butts kicked by the Vikings.
Pissed. Yeah.
So,
and they're home, so
they're going to need a big bounce back game and prove that they are still a top 5 team in the league.
Yeah.
And I just think they're going to come out and play with their heads on fire and play some really good football.
For sure.
So I'm taking the Texans.
Yeah.
Taking the Texans. Next, we got the Steelers and the Colts. Very interesting game.
One of my hot takes was that the Steelers would finish below 500 for the first time under Mike Tomlin. Could that still happen? Maybe. It's not really looking like it. They're looking like a pretty solid team, maybe the best defense in the entire league. Therefore,
I would go on to say probably the best defense in the league.
Therefore, right, I'm going with the Steelers over the Colts. I have to give them their respect. They look pretty good.
Oh, I'm so ready for this.
Go ahead.
Anthony Richardson sucks.
Oh, God.
He sucks.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. It's a little harsh.
No.
It's what, his 5th or 6th game start in the NFL? No way.
Yeah.
No.
This going into this week is his 8th game starting.
Look, I wasn't the biggest Anthony Richardson fan, so I'm not necessarily he'll be good. I'm just saying, let's just see how this progresses.
Anthony Richardson has been the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. Other than Will Levis.
Bryce Young?
I still would take Bryce over.
No shot.
Anthony Richardson has been so bad.
Look, and I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is insane or anything.
It's still too early to give up on, and I know you're going to say the exact same thing about giving up on Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
It's still too early to give up on Bryce.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But you're going to say the same thing about Richardson. It's still too early to give up on him. Yeah. It's not too early to give up on him.
Why not? No.
It's time to give up on him.
No.
It was a fantasy. You were hoping he was going to come in and beat Josh Allen. That was the best thing that was Anthony Richardson's ceiling.
Insane.
Everyone was like, "Oh, he could come in and beat Josh Allen."
Shades of Cam Newton.
Where is it?
I agree. We haven't seen it all that much, but to say he's been worse than
know what, we kind of have seen it though, because he is just as bad as Cam Newton is at throwing the football.
Can I say this?
What?
You're quick to judge Anthony Richardson off of less than 10 games. Sam Darnold has shown seasons of garbage, not games, seasons worth of garbage. And you're willing to bend over backwards for Sam Darnold and not give Anthony Richardson a chance. That's not fair.
Who's his number 1 receiver again?
Who, Sam Darnold? It's Justin Jefferson. You think if Anthony Richardson had a Justin Jefferson, you think even with Justin Jefferson, Anthony Richardson,
their receiving core isn't even bad.
It's no Justin Jefferson.
No,
Jordan
but
Addison.
It's literally just Justin Jefferson right now.
Look, I think you're pretty crazy.
Jalen Naylor out at receiver right now as the number 2.
Yeah.
Addison hasn't played. Hawkinson hasn't played. They got Aaron Jones, who's 30 years old back there, toting that thing and running the ball, and they just look so good. The Colts right now have better all-around, not singular weapon. They have a better all-around weaponry than the Vikings do.
They have a whole bunch of mid running around.
But guess what? They have one superstar. Right?
I'll take one superstar over a field full of mid.
How good? Where would you put Michael Pittman? Top 15?
No.
Top 20?
You don't
think he's a top 15 receiver?
No, and don't ask me to name them now because I would have to. Look at every team.
I'm not going to do that, but I think I'd still sneak Michael Pittman in there. It might be 15.
No,
but you have Michael Pittman.
No,
you have Jonathan Taylor. You have Adonai Mitchell. You have Alec Pierce. You have Josh Downs.
Mid.
You have Quentin Nelson.
He's good.
He's
not throwing the ball to Quentin Nelson.
No, I'm not saying. But all that put together, they have a good offensive line.
So does the Vikings.
Who?
Christian Darrisaw.
Who else? Name another player on the Vikings.
They have a guard. One of the Strombergs.
No,
they all have the same ending.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Because it's Ezra Cleveland.
He's decent.
But that's what I'm saying. You're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
It's Ezra Cleveland. None of the Strombergs.
There's a Berg in there.
No.
I might be wrong. But either way, Christian Darrisaw.
Garrett Bradbury.
Sam Darnold has a better left tackle than Anthony Richardson does, which is the most important.
Braden Smith's good. Don't act like he's not good.
Christian Darrisaw.
Christian Darrisaw's better. I'll give you that.
Yeah. You don't got to worry about his left
Who's
side.
better at number 2? All right, we could go through this whole team right now.
I don't want to.
And I know that's what I'm saying, though. But the Colts have just as good of a roster as the Vikings. And look what's happening.
The Vikings have a better defense.
Okay.
That's important.
But they're not putting up points. The Colts aren't scoring.
And again,
because Anthony Richardson has thrown 6 picks.
Look, I'm not arguing that he's good. I agree he's not good. I'm just saying it's not fair to give up on him this early. That's all I'm saying.
I just think he sucks, and you can't give up on him right now because what are they going to go to? You can't.
Trade for Bryce.
That'd be a better idea than throwing Anthony Richardson back out there.
I think it's harsh to say he's been worse than Bryce Young.
I don't think he has never been good. Ever. They're just, again, it's a fantasy with him. They see this big quarterback, and it's like, oh my God, he could be the Messiah. And he's awful. You know who else was massive and jacked and sucked?
Who?
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow didn't.
Where are you going with this?
He had one good season.
Guess what? Season. Anthony Richardson had 0.
He's played 7 games.
He's played he's played college football, and he looked awful in college.
I wouldn't say he looked awful.
He had a 60% completion percentage.
Look, and I'm not arguing with it again.
Look,
I'm not arguing with any of it. I agree. He is not good. I'm not really a big fan of Anthony Richardson. I just feel like it's harsh to give up on him this early to say that he was worse than Bryce Young. That's all. Sure. That's all I am saying.
Guess who has worse stats though? And again, I'm not making it all about stats. You can turn on the game tape.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like if you turn on the game tape, Bryce Young looks worse than Anthony Richardson.
But Anthony Richardson has better weapons than Bryce does right now. Yes? You can't even think about this.
I'll agree with you. Yeah.
Yes. And look how much worse he's looked.
But that's the thing. I wouldn't even necessarily say he's thrown
worse. 6 picks, and some of those picks have been the worst interceptions I have ever seen.
More than Will Levis?
Yes. No. To that point. Will Levis...
He might be. That entire class, other than CJ, of course.
And Malik Willis.
No, that's a different class. That was the class before.
Never mind.
Yeah.
But... Again, Malik Willis might be turning the page too, getting off on a different story.
Yeah, we are everywhere right now.
But Anthony Richardson is awful. And
so I'm assuming you have the Steelers
because he might throw 7 picks this week.
That would be crazy. Can you imagine? Nathan Peterman all over again.
He only threw 5.
Only. So apologies,
exactly.
Only 5 interceptions.
He only threw 5. I think we might see a record broken this week.
Hopefully, that would be
most
exciting.
Picks thrown in a game. And his name is Anthony Richardson.
Maybe watch him go off. I kind of hope he does. I'm rooting for you, Anthony.
Oh, yeah, he's going to go off the field because he sucks.
All right, what we got next?
We got the Rams and the Bears.
Yeah, I think, again, I won't be surprised if this is a close one at all, but I'm going to go with the Rams. Good win from them last week. They really needed that. Caleb still learning. You know, what he had over 300 yards last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Caleb.
A sneaky 300 yards, too.
But he threw like 60 times?
Did he really?
He threw
I don't know if it's
a lot. He threw a lot. I'm going to go with the Rams.
Well, they were down the whole game. They kind of had to.
True. Overall, I think the Rams were the better team. I'm going with the Rams.
I'm also going with the Rams. They shouldn't have won last week. And guess what? They go out there and do what the Rams do. They go out and win football games.
Yeah.
They have a very good coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
pretty good defense. They just go out. They know how to
They
play.
have solid pieces on
They
that
have
roster.
very good chemistry as a team.
Yeah.
They know how to go out and win
Very
football
well
games.
coached.
And we had mentioned this before we started the episode today. Caleb might be the third best quarterback so far this year out of the rookies.
And I know we said earlier when we brought up the Broncos game, I gotta give my respects to Bo Nix. He's looking better than what I personally had him as. And
again, it's kind of hard to put Bo Nix ahead of him right now.
Yeah,
but based off
especially
last week,
after only 3 games. But if you were to rank them, it wouldn't be crazy to say Bo Nix has looked better than Caleb.
No, and again, now that we're talking about it, I probably wouldn't.
No,
it'd be Jaden, Caleb, Bo.
Yeah,
which I think.
But there's at least an argument.
There's an argument
to have Bo. That's all we're saying.
Especially with the weapons. Again, going back to weapons,
which is really important.
The Bears have weapons.
A lot. I wish Washington had those weapons.
Exactly.
Can you imagine if Jaden, again, we're kind of everywhere. Can you imagine if Jaden had those weapons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have 5 passing touchdowns instead of 2. Again, we're taking the Rams in that one, right?
Yeah.
We're taking the Rams.
Sure.
Next, we're moving on to the Commanders and the Cardinals.
You want me to go first?
Should I go first?
You go first. You go first.
I'm taking the Cardinals in this game. I think the Cardinals, even though they lost last week, were in a very close game. And they have definitely looked, and you can't say this, that you can't not say this. They've looked a lot better than what they've
For sure.
looked like
Absolutely.
before.
I agree with you there.
I think the Cardinals are turning the page. Kyler's played really good football this year. Marv turning it on. He has been a very worthwhile top pick.
Mm-hmm.
And their defense is playing really well.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you. They have really progressed from last year. And even last year, the second half of the season, you really saw they were really putting things together, really competing every quarter. And I think they're really building off of that. And I agree with you. They have looked really good for what people thought they would be.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree with you there.
So, with that, I'm taking the Cardinals. I'll let you move on because I know you're not taking the Cardinals.
You don't know that.
Oh, I know that. Who are you taking?
I'm going to try my best to not go on a rant here. But let me tell you something about that kid, Jaden. If you did not see Monday night's game, you are missing out. What were your opinions on how he looked Monday night? And how not just him, how did the team to you look Monday night?
I still think the defense is a lot of work, which is a very easy
understatement. That defense sucks. I'll say it. Washington's defense is awful.
But Jaden is good.
He's not good.
He is a very good quarterback. I'm not willing to put the great tag on him yet.
He is gonna be the GOAT. Jaden Daniels. Look, call me crazy. I've lived through this. I've been through this.
I'll let you go.
I've seen it all before. I've seen so many different things within this organization coming in, coming out, whatever it may be. I've never seen something like Jaden Daniels. Something like him, a player like him, has never stepped foot in that facility. And Shannon Sharp said it best. When you have a franchise quarterback,
God, you're quoting Shannon Sharp.
When you have a franchise quarterback, and if you disagree with this, you're crazy. When you have a franchise quarterback, all bets are off. Can you agree with that? If you have a franchise quarterback, who knows what could happen? Games you're not supposed to win, you could end up winning. We were not supposed to win last night. Jaden showed up and brought the team with him. Not only did he look good, that offense looked amazing. 2 straight games of no turnovers, no punting the ball. Jaden has yet to turn the ball over. As a rookie, 0 turnovers.
Very impressive.
Jaden Daniels, by far, not even close, the best rookie in this entire class. I'm taking Washington. Does the defense suck? Yeah, they suck. Are they going to get scored on? Absolutely. You just have to stop them 2 or 3 times. Jaden and the offense will take care of the rest. And shout out Cliff Kingsbury. Rough week 1. He called a great game last night. You cannot argue that. That was a great game he called last night.
I think that might have been the first time I've ever heard anybody shout out Cliff Kingsbury.
That's fine. Look at the tape. That was a great game he called last night. Made the offense very good for Jaden. Finally stretched the field. Had Terry getting open. Offensive line looking great. Nothing like the offensive line from last year. They are looking great. I'm taking the Commanders this week. It's gonna happen. It's an exciting time to be a Commanders fan.
All right, I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it.
Go ahead.
Who have they beaten again?
They beat the Giants and the 0-3 Bengals.
And who'd they lose to?
They lost to a decent Bucks team.
So they haven't beaten anybody that's good yet, right?
I wouldn't say so, and I wouldn't call the Cardinals good either.
I think they're a top 15 team.
No, what?
Cardinals are a top 15 team.
No.
They almost beat the Bills.
Almost.
By 3 points.
In week 1.
It's the closest
You know who else won week 1?
That's in a closest.
The Patriots.
The Patriots are a solid team.
Get out of here, dude. What are you talking about?
We're getting off topic. The Commanders have to beat a good team.
That's fine. And they're not going to this because the Cardinals aren't that good of a team. They're better than what
I was going to give you credit. If the Commanders win this game this week, I would be on the other side of it. I think
really.
I don't think this would be high on the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are a very good team. I think the Cardinals are a sneaky wild card team.
All I'm saying is I think if you think the Commanders, I'm not saying you, I'm saying like in general, if whoever you are don't think the Commanders are good and they win this week, I don't see why this game should really change that.
Is it in Arizona?
Yeah. They didn't even go back home. They flew straight from Cincy to Arizona.
I would give it to you guys. If you guys can beat the Cardinals this week, I think you guys got a really good shot at going to the playoffs this year.
I think we have a good shot regardless. The East runs through Washington, first off. Can we say that? The NFC East is going to run through Washington. Philly may think they have this.
I don't know who you're telling.
What are you talking about?
I said this. I'm not that point. But it was Dallas. Everyone had Dallas and Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas is not good.
Are they as good as they were last year? No, but I still wouldn't put the not good stamp on them just yet. Could it happen? Absolutely, but I think it's a little too early for that.
I don't. Yeah, sure. Getting off a little bit off topic.
Either way, Commanders are going to win this week, and I'm excited to see it.
I hope so. I really do. I really hope that Jaden keeps this up because it's really fun to watch him.
Dude, he's so electrifying. I cannot believe that's my quarterback. I've waited my entire life for this.
It's exciting.
I cannot believe
now you know how I felt with Josh.
Except Jaden looks better as a rookie than Josh did as a rookie, so the hopes are even higher, even more exciting. Chocolate City's going crazy right now.
What?
That's the name, Chocolate City.
What is the name?
DC. Chocolate City's going insane right now.
Okay.
We have been yearning for this. Next game, Patriots 49ers. Who do you have?
I'm taking the Niners. With all that I just said about the Patriots, I'm still taking the Niners. And again, we're a little down on the Niners right now.
Yeah.
This would be a perfect bounce back game for them. They play a very good defense in the Patriots. And they're going to have to do it again without any of their top weapons. And if they can pick it up this week without any of those weapons, you still got the Niners near the top 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, we have been talking a little down on them recently, but it's just hard to go against them when they're going against the Patriots. I feel like I'm not as high on the Patriots as you are, but
I just think their defense is really good.
They are. I'll give them that, but I just think the 49ers will be too much.
And I think there's a chance Drake May plays this week, potentially.
Maybe.
We're filming this on a Tuesday this week, so we're a little early on any of the big news that has come out already.
Yeah.
So there's possibility Drake May plays, which, if that's the case,
that would be exciting to see.
I'm way more on the Niners at that point.
Because
in your first game against the Niners defense, you're going to struggle.
It'll be very frustrating.
You struggled against the Jets defense for that one drive you played at the end of the game. You were getting lit up the entire drive.
Yeah.
Good luck against the Niners.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're both taking the Niners in that one.
Yeah.
We got the Browns and the Raiders next game.
Yeah, we got trash versus trash, but I'm taking the less trash, so I'm going with the Raiders.
Wow. I'm also picking the Raiders. I wouldn't go on to say less trash. I think that's more of a surprising pick, to be honest.
Really?
I think the Raiders are more the surprising
Does it
pick.
look bad that you lost to The Panthers, absolutely, that looks awful. But man, the Browns aren't good. They're not. They're not good.
The Browns are a very bad team.
They are, and I just feel like, especially, did you see Antonio Pierce saying? Honestly, I really like that, the fact that he was like, some guys make business decisions, pro guys make business decisions. Hopefully, he's talking about Devontae, so he comes to Washington. But getting a little too ahead of myself. I really respect Antonio Pierce. I think he was the right coach to take over this Raiders team, and I think he'll really get those guys in check, and they'll beat the Browns.
I'm also taking the Raiders, like I said. I just think the Browns are really bad.
They are, yeah.
I also don't think the Raiders are very good.
No.
But I just like the grit of the Raiders more than the Browns. The Browns are playing like there's nothing for them to play for.
Yeah.
They are just going.
I'm not going to bring up their quarterback. It's not the right time, but continue.
What? No, what were you going to say?
I was going to say it's hard to play for a quarterback. You don't even know if he's going to be a free man tomorrow or not.
Yeah,
so
that's true. But again, it just doesn't seem like they're playing together as a team.
Yeah.
They have very bad chemistry as a team right now, and it's very evident in the games. You go out and you lose to the Giants at home.
Yeah.
You lose to the Giants at home.
Not even Washington did that. I'm going to be honest, we're not as good as I hope we would be. So.
Yeah, I just... It's going to be hard to pick Browns in games in the next couple weeks.
Absolutely.
Unless a quarterback change is made and you got Eaton W's Jameis going in there, which would be even more scary of a thing.
Huge Jameis fans here.
Yeah, for sure. But I just got to take the Raiders. I just think that the chemistry of the Raiders are going to come together more than the no chemistry that the Browns have.
Yeah.
Next, we got the Chiefs and the Chargers.
Did we have any news on if Herbert's playing this week or not?
I think it's very up in the air.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, regardless of if he plays or not, I still think the Chiefs are going to win regardless. But even more so if Justin Herbert does not play.
Yes. I think if Herbert were to play, this game's a lot closer than what it would be if he weren't to play.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm still taking the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, I'm taking the Chiefs. I think if Herbert weren't to play, this game would still be close because they are going to run the football. It doesn't matter who's in at quarterback.
Who's their backup?
Taylor Heineke.
That's right. It is. I love Heineke. That's my dog right there. I have a great story about him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
This
is not the right time. It's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
Come on.
If we bring up ODU like another episode, probably next week because ODU plays this weekend. Okay. I'll say the story next week.
Okay.
If you remind me.
But regardless. If Taylor Heineke's in there, can he make a handoff? If he can make a handoff, they're still in business because that's all the Chargers do.
Yeah, it's hardball football right there.
It's going to be a test for the Chiefs to see how well they are stopping the run.
Yeah.
They haven't been great at it the past couple weeks. That's why they've been in those close games.
Yeah.
Zach Moss was tearing them apart. Bijan teared them apart. Tyler Algier ripped them apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough to stop that team.
Agreed.
The only thing that the Chargers don't have going for them, besides the fact of Herbert maybe not playing, is now they're missing Joe Alt.
Yeah.
Joe Alt's going to be out for a couple weeks at the minimum, which is a big loss for that offensive line.
He's a huge part of that offense in general.
Which is why I'm going with the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think this is a very close game. It's a division game.
Yeah.
The division games,
division games are always going to be close. Yeah.
No matter how good or bad the teams are, they're going to be close.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
So with that, I'm taking the Chiefs still. Next, we got the Bills and the Ravens.
Do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
You got it.
I'm going with the Bills. I said it earlier. Even though I don't have Josh Allen as the number one quarterback, I do think overall the Bills, as of now through the first 3 games, have looked like the best team. And the Ravens have been shaky. They got their first one against Dallas. Good for them. Almost let them come back. Scared me for a little. Luckily, they didn't. But I'm going to go with the Bills. I think overall they're a better team.
All right.
Oh, God.
I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm taking the Bills. I think this is a very close game.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking for all Bills fans out there. We know they love to start out hot. And right around this time of the season is where they start to falter a little bit, if they are going to falter.
Yeah.
This is where it happens. I could very easily see us losing this game this week.
Really?
Yes. Especially, like you said, the Ravens didn't start out very hot.
Mm-mm.
They have to start catching their stride. Or if they just think about this. If the Ravens go to 1-3, and let's say the Steelers win again this week, they're 4-0.
That's going to be hard later on in the season to really catch up.
They're 4-0 to 1-3.
Yeah.
This is kind of a must-win game for the Ravens.
As of now, it's looking like it.
Now, do I think they win? No, I'm still taking the Bills because, like you said, I think they are the best team in the league right now. And that offense is just, and I say it every week, it's because Diggs is gone. That was the big question.
I mean, so far you have been proving yourself right, or they've been proving you right. Yeah.
It was all of the Diggs talk of this past offseason. Diggs and Gabe are gone. Where are they going with those targets? Well, guess what? You got the guy that was begging for the ball every play out. So you don't have to worry about throwing it to one guy the whole game. Now you can spread the ball out. You can throw to MVS. You can throw to Khalil. You can throw to James Cook. You could throw a touchdown to Ty Johnson if you wanted to. That was one of the best throws of the week that Josh made with that Ty Johnson touchdown. And if you know who Ty Johnson is, that's my point. He's throwing to nobodies right now. He just threw a touchdown to Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
The Bills are just playing such good football. The Bills right now, to me, have two of the top 5 corners in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Benford, learn Christian Benford's name. Christian Benford is a top 5 corner in the NFL. And Rasul Douglas.
He has looked really good.
But the fact that you didn't say that about Christian Benford, you probably don't even know who that is, do you?
I do. I do. You hear his name in the games.
Christian Benford is a lockdown corner. And he gets so little respect. And I'm not tired of it because, again, he's a newer name for people. But get ready to learn Christian Benford's name because he is an elite corner.
Elite.
He is a very good corner. I would go as far to say as elite. He's the number 2 PFF corner in the league right now.
I'll give you that. Although we should take PFF with a grain of salt.
We should.
I'll give you that.
But at the corner position, I feel like PFF grade is a very reasonable thing to
It's
go
a lot
off of.
more accurate than the other positions.
Yeah, because you can't watch the corners from any angle of film unless you're watching the all 22.
Yeah.
So we got to just kind of take their word for it.
I guess.
At that position. Like the safeties and the corners, kind of got to give to them.
Yeah.
And I just think that the fact the Ravens don't have any other really receiving weapons outside of Zay Flowers, you put either one of them on Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews has been a non-factor this year.
He's washed.
And you just stack the box and you hope you can take out Derrick Henry's legs. And if you can do that, you're going to win the game.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the I'm taking the I'm taking the Bills.
It's been a long day.
It has been a long day. Next, we got the Titans and the Dolphins. That's the first Monday night game this week. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Titans. I know we were just slandering them. I still don't think they're a good team, but no Tua, no Skylar Thompson. He's not playing either, right? Skylar Thompson.
Even if he's healthy, I hope he doesn't play.
I mean, if you don't beat this Dolphins team, you deserve to be the first overall pick.
Yes.
It's
Dolphins.
Titans, if you don't win this game, you deserve to be the first overall pick.
No,
there's literally not a team worse. If they can't beat this Miami team, there will not be a worse team in the NFL.
You can say that, but there is definitely a very reasonable way the Dolphins to win this game. They have so many weapons.
And I'm not saying they're wrong. If it's the NFL, anyone can win any Sunday. Or in this case, Monday. But Titans, if you lose this game.
You shouldn't lose this game.
If you lose this game, you deserve to be the first overall pick.
I'm also taking the Titans in this game. We're going to see what crazy thing Will Levis is going to do this week. And guess what? Everyone's going to get to see it this week because it's on national television.
He's so bad.
But like you said, this is a very beatable Dolphins team right now. It's a very vulnerable Dolphins team.
Yeah.
So if you can't go out and beat this team, like you said,
you're
not a good look. Not a good look. So again, we're both taking the Titans in this one. And again, it might be Tyler Huntley. Huntley might be the.
He's won games. Made a Pro Bowl.
Which is why. Oh my God, that dude did make a Pro Bowl. Which is why, again, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins win.
I wouldn't be shocked. And I'm just saying, if you lose to this Miami team,
not a good look.
Embarrassing.
Not a good look at all. And then to wrap up this week's games, we got the Seahawks and the Lions. Should be a very good game.
It is going to be a very good game. I see this one as a 50-50 game as well. I'm going to go with the Seahawks, though. They have looked extremely impressive under Mike McDonald as head coach. He really has them playing well. I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
I'm also taking the Seahawks in this game. The Lions have struggled out the gates.
They have not lived up to the expectations.
And it's
as
not.
Of now.
Yes. And they catch stride like right after halftime. And they start to remember, oh, okay, we're the Lions. We're supposed to be good. And then they start playing good football again.
Yeah.
The first 2 quarters of their games have not been great in any of the games they've played this year.
Yeah.
And it takes them an entire half to get up to speed in the game.
Yeah.
Against the Seahawks, who have a really good defense, and their offense is playing really good. Zach Charbonnet has been playing very good with Kenneth Walker out. I think if the Seahawks can go up, say 2 touchdowns going into halftime, it's going to be really hard for the Lions to come back in that, especially with the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, I feel you.
So I'm taking the Seahawks in that one.
Yeah, should be a good game, but I'm going Seahawks.
Yeah, and then so our last segment of the show, we're doing another new one. We're going with our overreactions through 3 weeks in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. We agreed that we would save the craziest one for last. So
yeah, we're kind of going in. Yeah, everybody kind of agrees with you.
Yeah.
What? And then, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So,
that's kind of the order of these.
Yeah. So you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
I can go first.
All right, go ahead.
My first overreaction is the Bills are the best team in the NFL, and it's not even close.
Okay.
The Bills have gone out, and I've mentioned this throughout the entire show. The Bills have gone out and just beat up on the teams, specifically past 2 weeks, and in the second half of the Cardinals game. After the first half of the Cardinals game with the Bills, since then, they have just been dominant in all phases of the game.
Yeah.
And no team in the NFL has been as dominant as them in any of their games that they've played. Mm-hmm. And for that, like, the Bills just look and are playing like the best team in the league right now. And in my opinion, it's not close.
Look, I wouldn't necessarily say it's an overreaction. The only problem I have with that is the part where you say it's not close. And again,
who else?
I mean, you gotta look. I know you're gonna disagree with this.
The Chiefs.
But I will even go say that the Seahawks have been looking like a great overall team.
They almost lost to the Patriots.
That's what you could say. You guys almost lost to the Cardinals.
That's what I'm saying, but that was the Seahawks' second game. That was our first game.
Still early in the season.
That's why I said that, though. After the first half of the Cardinals game this year, the Bills have been dominant.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks, again, they've played really good football, too. So have the Steelers. So have the Chiefs, if you want to say the Chiefs. They haven't played great football. They've been playing decent football. They're still 3-0.
Yeah.
But for me, the Bills are the clear and obvious number one team in the league. And in my opinion, it's not close.
I'll give you that they've looked like the best team. I think this early being like it's not close. I don't know about all that. That's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. Up to you.
For me, I have it's NFC Championship or bust for Nick Sirianni. What do I mean by that? It is obvious that Philly fans and Philadelphia in general are getting tired of Nick Sirianni when it comes to his decision making, when to use timeouts, things of that sort. And the expectations are so high. I think that if they go to the NFC Championship game and lose, and like it's one thing like taking it all fourth quarters, winning overtime, I think you know your job is safe. If you go into the NFC Championship game and just look bad or lose any time before that, I think they end up firing him and just looking for a new coach.
So why do you think that they would get rid of him that quick?
Let's just look at history. They got rid of Doug Peterson. I know Doug Peterson's final year, he didn't take them to the playoffs, but the year before, he won them the Super Bowl. There's already talks this past offseason of ownership and the GM, Harry Roseman, not being happy with Nick Sirianni. You hear all these reports that he's, him and Jalen Hurts aren't really seeing eye to eye. Who you going to take? The head coach that you've shown before is expandable. You could have a new guy come in and do the same thing, or the multi-$100 million man you just paid.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're going to side with Jalen Hurts on this side. So I'm just saying, if the Eagles lose before the NFC Championship game, not make the playoffs, or lose the NFC Championship game and look bad, Nick Sirianni will be gone.
That's a very big overreaction. I probably wouldn't even say it's an overreaction, but for a lot of people out there, probably going to be a pretty big overreaction.
That's why it's in this segment.
Exactly.
Except it's the truth, though.
My next overreaction, and again, I don't even think it's an overreaction. Mm-hmm. Anthony Richardson's a bust. Anthony Richardson is a bust. I'm willing to call it right now.
Expand.
After how many? What is it? 8, 7?
7.
7 games. Yeah. Anthony Richardson's a bust, and it's time to call him one. What else does he need? Where? I don't even know where to go with this. Look, he has looked so bad.
I think giving up on a young quarterback within the first 7 games, I think that's a little unfair. I think you have to give him more time. You're the quarterback of an NFL franchise. It is a really hard job.
Mm-hmm.
You need time to mold. You need time to understand an NFL defense, what you're looking at, what to trust in your eyes, all that good stuff. It just takes time. You can't rush those kind of things.
What is the biggest thing in the NFL? Money is time.
Yeah.
And time is money.
Yep.
You can't sit and wait. How long are you going to wait?
You got to give him at least one more season.
One more season?
Yeah.
So what happens?
You can't give up on him after this season.
Okay. So let's say we give Anthony Richardson another season.
Mm-hmm.
Do they give the head coach another season?
Yeah.
Why?
Why wouldn't they? Dude, they almost made the playoffs last year in his first year as head coach.
Which is even worse of a case for Anthony Richardson.
I disagree.
Anthony Richardson has looked worse than Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew went in there and made that team look good.
But Gardner Minshew has years in this league.
Okay. It's Gardner Minshew. Why isn't he?
He's a starting NFL quarterback.
Should he be?
2 teams believe so. 2 NFL franchises believe so. 3 if you include Jacksonville. Why not?
He was forced into those roles because he had to be the quarterback.
He
wasn't the guy that it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to make him our quarterback. He was forced into that role. And now he's on the Raiders where they have Aiden O'Connell and him. Of course you're picking Gardner Minshew. He's played in the NFL.
Yeah.
But it makes the case even worse for Anthony Richardson.
I just think you shouldn't give up on a young quarterback after 7 games, especially when you draft in the first round.
I'm calling him a bust. He is a bust. Nothing in those first 7 games has shown to me there's potential. Yeah. I don't see any potential in
I see potential. Dude, he had that one sick touchdown. I forgot who was against him, either the first or second game. That sick touchdown off his back foot, launching it like 80 yards, dime.
Okay. It was a 50-yard pass. You know who else used to do that?
Who?
Sam Howell.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Sam Howell was one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. And
what?
Sam Howell was so good at deep ball. What?
Sam Howell was one of the best deep.
That was his only good part of his game
in the league. You're saying he was one of the best deep throwers in the league.
All right, maybe a little. I misspoke by the league.
He was misspoke.
He was a good deep ball thrower. That was probably his best part of his game.
Yeah.
Right? Would you agree with that? That was the best part of his game.
To do with anything? Yeah.
That's my point. Is Sam Howell good?
He's decent. He's a decent. I think Washington's team was just that bad last year. I think if you put him with a competent offense, he could be decent.
Let's say he was on the Colts. Would he be better than Anthony Richardson is right now?
I can't confidently say yes. I'm gonna be honest with you. I cannot 100% tell you he would be better. Why would he be?
So the point of that
would he be?
So that's the point though that I was gonna make. Because Anthony Richardson can make a deep throw. He's going to be a good quarterback in the league.
I didn't say I brought up the deep throw because you said he showed absolutely zero potential.
That was my point. We can go to a guy like Sam Howell and be like, oh wow, he's made some deep throws.
Anthony Richardson has a better deep throw than Sam Howell.
I would disagree.
I think you're crazy though.
No, I don't think I am at all. Anthony Richardson can't complete a ball under 10 yards. He throws it over them. He doesn't understand how to take off of his throws. He
almost
just
like a Dwayne Haskins.
very
R.I.P.
similar.
Kane.
But Anthony Richardson's so bad at football.
I think it's too soon to give up on him after 7 years.
How long are we going to give him those?
You have to give him another year. You spent a first-round pick on him. You spent top 5 pick on him. You have to be patient with him.
But what happens when they fire the head coach after losing a bunch of games again this year?
Well, I don't think they'd fire him after losing a bunch of games. It also depends how many games. It also depends how bad.
4 games.
Lose 4 games or win
4 games. What's going to help you? What's going to help them get into a better spot if they are already losing 4 games?
You just have to be patient with a young quarterback.
I'm so backwards right here. If they win 4 games,
yeah.
Why would you keep a guy in that same system if they're only going to win 4 games?
Because you spent a first-round pick on him last season.
I know, so why wouldn't you just try a new system out?
What are you talking about?
If you're going to give him another year, why don't you fire the coach and give him a new system?
I could see giving him a new OC maybe. I don't think you'd fire the head coach.
But that's his system. It's Steichen's offense.
Yeah, but you can still bring in a new OC. Like, certain coaches have that gift of just knowing how to speak to young players.
I don't see it. I think Anthony Richardson's a very bad football player, and I'm ready to call him a bust.
I think it's early, but speaking of young quarterbacks, my number 2 overreaction, that's not an overreaction because it's the truth. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC East. I mean, he is. Like, look, you even said yourself, Dak Prescott is having his struggles, not looking like the same Dak. We didn't even have Jalen Hurts in the top 10. We sure did have Jaden Daniels, though. That kid, Jaden.
But guess who we still had over him?
Who?
Dak.
That's fine. I'm telling you. Let the season progress. By midway through, it's not going to be a question. Jaden Daniels will undoubtedly be the best quarterback in the East. I'm just calling it early because I can see the future.
It's not a bad one. I wouldn't say it's definitely an overreaction because he isn't. He isn't.
Yes,
though.
he is. He's
yourself,
the most talented.
You yourself.
I was being conservative. It's only been 3 games, but he is the best. He's the most talented. Would you agree? He has the most tools out of all of them.
Yeah.
He's the best.
What?
The best quarterback in the NFC East.
So Anthony Richardson is the best quarterback in the AFC South? Then.
No.
Because he has the best tools out of all of them.
You think he has more tools than CJ Stroud?
Tools?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is happening?
Tools.
Oh,
tools are used as a protection.
No, he has. You even said yourself. He has a good arm. Like he can throw the ball far. That's how frustrating you're making me. He can throw the ball far. He has a good deep shot.
Who?
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and he
run.
His running ability is better.
CJ Stroud. It's been such a long day.
CJ
Stroud. CJ has a good deep shot. CJ's accurate. CJ can run. CJ's poised. CJ has way more tools than Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson has
happening right now. How is this happening right now? Why do we have a show?
How am I defending Anthony Richardson right now?
I don't know.
Tools-wise, Anthony Richardson has the most tools.
How is this happening?
Arm strength, arm talent, speed, strength. Who has more in that division?
I think Stroud has more tools.
Which ones?
I just named them. What are you talking about?
Name 4. I just gave you 4. Would you agree with those 4?
Yes. Accuracy, IQ, vision.
That's the same thing.
IQ and vision are not the same.
Accuracy and vision. What?
Those are not the same.
What do you have to do to be accurate? You have to see what's open, right?
You have to place the ball in the right spot.
Yeah, and you
have to see to run. What are you talking about? You have to see regardless. There's no blind quarterback, JJ. What are you talking about? You have to see regardless. What are we talking about? What is happening? I feel like this is a prank right now. I don't understand what's happening.
And
What is that? We are comparing Anthony Richardson's tools to CJ Stroud's tools, and you are comparing after just ripping him, calling him a bust after 7 games, that he has more tools than CJ Stroud.
yes.
Oh my God! Why are we doing this? All right, Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC East, undoubtedly. Your next overreaction.
All right, my biggest one is it's time to move on from.
I cannot believe this is happening. Continue, please.
It's time to move on from Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, expand on that.
The Jaguars have lost 8 of their 9 last games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing, yeah.
Do you know what the 9th game was that they won? They've lost 8 of their 9 games.
Yeah, so what was the one game they've won?
What was the game they won?
Oh, I don't know. Who was it?
They won 26-0 against the Panthers.
I had a feeling you were going to say the Panthers.
But guess what?
What?
CJ Beathard was starting at quarterback. So, Trevor Lawrence has lost 8 games in a row in the NFL.
Yeah.
8 games.
Yeah.
He's thrown 10 touchdowns and 7 picks in those 8 games. Hasn't gone over 280 passing yards in any of those games. And has yet to go over 220 this year. He was averaging 13.3 points per game this year.
Yeah.
And in all of those games combined, 17.1. And in those games, he's played some pretty bad teams.
Yeah.
Sure. And they've lost. Trevor Lawrence's last win was in week 12 of last season against the Texans, when the Texans were just starting to figure things out.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence has not been a good NFL quarterback in the past 8 games.
Yeah.
They're 0-3 to start the season. You just paid him a bunch of money. I think you get out early when you can, because would you go to say they have a better team on paper this year than they did last year?
Yeah, absolutely. On paper. Yeah.
And now they're 0-3.
Yeah.
What do you do now? And where do you start to put the blame?
I think you're bringing up really good arguments, and I will counter that with one of the arguments you used, and I'm going to use it against yourself. I think the only reason you don't end up giving up on him just is because you just paid him. I think I would rather move on from the head coach than move on from the
quarterback. Which is more likely to happen.
Yeah, but I'm not going to disagree. He has not played like a franchise quarterback.
Not in a slight bit.
But I do think it's a slight overreaction. I won't even say slight. I do think it's overreaction to just completely give up on Trevor Lawrence if I'm the Jaguars.
He hasn't won a game in 8 games.
And I agree. He has not looked good. He hasn't. He wasn't even an honorable mention for us.
No.
Has not looked good. But I think because you just paid him, you have to not be as patient as I would be with Anthony Richardson per se. Just joking, of course. But you do, there does have to be some sort of leeway because you just paid him all that money.
I just think, like I said, you get out ahead of it. And I wouldn't say, again, it's an overreaction for a reason. You give him until probably week 10. If you're 2-8, 3-7, I would even go to say 4-6. If you're 4-6 by week 10 with the Jags, with a team that's supposed to be better than it was last year, and at week 10 by last season, you had 3 losses.
Yeah,
you were 7-3.
They started off really strong last year. Yeah.
Why are you taking a step back? And it seems like it's all started since last year when, again, week 12 was their last win from last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's not getting any better. There's no growth, it seems like.
No, you have a really good point there. Yeah.
It seems like he's hit his ceiling, and that's where we are with Trevor Lawrence.
But that's why I think I would rather just bring in a new coach to kind of see what you get out of him from that.
Again, I think that's the likeliest possibility of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
But you still need a good quarterback to be in that system. And he's proven he has not been a good quarterback.
No, especially as of lately.
And as bad as you can blame, as much as you want to blame on the coaching, he hasn't played good.
Yeah.
And again, you can blame the coaching all you want, but you have to play good. And he hasn't. Like last night in specific, he looked awful.
Yeah.
Just like bad.
Mm-hmm.
like bad enough to say like I don't even think he's a top 20 quarterback right now.
It was pretty bad, yeah.
And even in the other 2 games of this year, they played really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm really mad about that because I was very high on them this year. But Trevor has let me down, and he has looked very, very bad. What's your last one?
Again, bringing up really good points. I just think it will be a little too soon just because you paid him all that money.
Which is why that's my last overreaction. And that's the most overreaction one I have so far.
And here's mine. For my final one, I said it is looking like it is the beginning of the end for the 49ers. What do I mean by that? We agreed, and I feel like a lot of people think that Brock Purdy is a system quarterback. You could plug in almost any starting quarterback in the league in that offense, and it's going to work fine. So what really separates him from the rest? Debo's aging, getting injured constantly. Brandon Ayuk has not looked like the same Brandon Ayuk since he's gotten paid. George Kittle's getting up there in age. He's getting hurt. McCaffrey's in Germany getting his injury checked out. You don't go to Germany for something subtle. Like, you don't go to Germany to get bandaged up. Something very bad has happened to Christian McCaffrey. I've always said, and I'd probably go get hate for this, Kyle Shanahan is a B-plus head coach. I will not put him in that A tier. So you see the team is constantly regressing. Why keep it up? Which is why I think potentially, possibly, you have to reconsider a rebuild. Of course, we have to wait to see how this season ends. For all we know, they can end up going to the Super Bowl, and I just sound dumb.
Everybody comes back healthy.
Exactly.
It all goes back to the
I'm
same.
just saying, the way things are looking, the way things are progressing, the players are getting older, everyone's getting banged up, some serious injuries. Brock Purdy still hasn't shown that he himself alone could really carry a team without a bunch of all-pros being around him. I'm not that high on Kyle Shanahan as others are. Is he the best play caller in the NFL? Yeah. He's still a B-plus head coach. You could be an A-plus OC and be a B-plus head coach, you know?
Yeah.
I just think the way it's going, the 49ers, very good chance, could get knocked out of the playoffs early. You just got to
especially if those injuries linger. They're going to linger.
The injuries linger, and the players you need to step up are not stepping up.
Yeah,
like Brandon Ayuk.
I think that it's a very good possibility if they don't make it. What would you say? NFC Championship?
You have to, just based on what you've done the last 3 years. You have to make the NFC.
And like you mentioned, those injuries linger.
Not to mention, this is the last year you get Brock Purdy on his rookie contract.
Yeah.
After the season, so, you have to pay him if you want to.
That's what I'm saying. It becomes the question of, like, how would you categorize it being a rebuild? Would you say if you were to go at it,
like I'm the GM,
okay, do you pay Brock? Or
it depends how
do
far
you ship off some people and pay Brock and then try to build again through the draft? Because, again, you have Ricky Pearsall still. Everybody forgets about him. Mm-hmm. He's still there. He's just in the shadows right now. Yeah. And do you try to build through the draft?
I think it all depends how they finish. Like I said, you make the NFC Championship game, you're at least competitive in it. Like, you take it down to the wire. I would resign Brock Purdy. You know, he's been taking you every year. Resign him. Give him what he's worth. You don't make it, you lose in the divisional wild card, whatever. I mean, and it will be hard to figure out, like, all right, what do we do now at quarterback? But I truly believe with that kind of offense, you could plug in anybody, nearly anybody. I'm not going to say anybody. You could plug in an average starting NFL quarterback. Y'all know, I don't like Sam Darnold. You plug Sam Darnold in that offense, he's going to do just what Brock Purdy's doing. So why spend all that money on him? Because he's not going to ask to be the 10th highest paid quarterback. He's going for that number one spot, as he should if I'm taking you guys to the NFC Championship game.
Could you imagine if, like, let's say they just kind of simmer out for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
They end up with, like, the 22nd pick.
Okay.
Can you imagine they get, like, Cam Ward?
Can you imagine Cam Ward in the Kyle Shanahan offense. That would be crazy. But then at that point, you brought up a good point. That's when you could you have Asian players, but teams are still willing to give up for those guys. You could kind of trade those guys away to move up in the draft to get your quarterback.
Yeah.
And in an offense
Which the
like
last
that,
time they tried to do that, did not work out well for them at all.
I think that was their fault because I was never a Trey Lance fan at all, so they're stupid for that. But yeah, I mean, I think those are solid options to do if you don't make it to the NFC Championship game. You got to reconsider your rebuild.
I think we're ready to call it an episode. Huh?
Yes, it has been a very long day, long episode. A lot of arguing, a lot of yelling.
I hope you guys had some fun watching this.
Yeah.
We had some fun doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, if you disagree with our top 10 or anything, you're just wrong. As simple as that.
Yep.
Make sure, do we have our TikTok up?
The TikTok is up for sure. It's not on the page. But
we'll work on that.
We'll work on that for sure.
Look up our YouTube. I mean, not our YouTube. You're already watching YouTube. Look up our TikTok PM Football Podcast and interact with us. We like the interactions. Love or hate, doesn't matter. We all mind the 12-year-old trolls. It's more eyes on us. It's all good.
Yeah, we definitely don't look like we played football before.
No, definitely not.
We know.
We definitely don't have any idea what we're talking about. So, yeah. Thank you for joining us this episode. See you next week.
Like and subscribe.
Please.
See ya.